They had the perfect marriage. Except that he killed her. Sorry, did I give that away? I mean, what did you think was gonna happen? You knew each other for 6 months, and then he killed you, and you're surprised? I have articles of clothing that have been missing for 6 months, and I haven't sent out a search party for them, but I'm sure that they'll show up at some point. We find ourselves in a very small town, America. It's Los Angeles. An old man picks up a knife. He's 23 years old. The knife is very sharp, but not sharp enough to cut anybody's feelings, because he doesn't have any feeling, because he is a sociopath. Do you guys know that they're out there? Do you understand red flags? Oh, he's really mean to everybody, but he likes me. He doesn't like you, he's using you. He views you as an object. Anyway, so there's this girl, and she's, I don't know, she's like swiping on coffee meets Tinder bagel, fish of the sea, door hinge, and she's just like, this guy's got really big muscles, but his eyes look dead. There's no light in his eyes. There's no light in his eyes. There's no photos of him with any friends or family or animals. It's just him going like this. With abs. Here's the thing, he was over 6 feet tall. We can't blame her, okay? She's looking for a tall king, except she's gonna end up dead. Have you ever heard of a short king murdering? I haven't. I don't even know if they could reach a murder weapon. That's why you should date a short king. They can't even reach murder weapons. How could they? They're up on the high shelf. You have a gun? Put it on the high shelf. Short king won't be, he'll be chilling. He'll be sitting with his legs crossed on the floor, smoking weed. Maybe he won't even be smoking. Maybe he'll be eating it because it's inedible, because he's chill. Shout out all the short kings, 6 feet and under. So here's the situation. They matched. Why? Because he had abs and dead eyes, and he was 6'7", which is a cringe number if you ask me. Look, to all my tall brothers out there, I support you. I'm not shitting on you. I'm not attacking you. I'm not coming for you. You didn't choose to be tall. You didn't choose that. It's not your fault. It's what Mother Nature did to you. This is a safe place for tall kings. If you are 6 feet or taller, you are welcome here. I want you to know that you're safe. No one's gonna hurt you. No one's gonna try and push you over. No one's gonna try and ask you if the weather's cold or up. No one's gonna ask you if looking at the tops of everybody's head is, I don't know. I don't know. It must be hard, you know. It must be hard. It must be hard. And it's such a very relatable, self-deprecating thing to complain about. So that's the situation, is that they matched. And like a match sparks a flame, they fell in love. Well, they fucked on the first date. It wasn't really a date so much as it was a come through, and he did. You know, Netflix and chill might be a little triggering for people, because you know what else chills is dead bodies in the morgue, which is what happened here. Look, let's just go to the beginning. Chapter 1. This guy, let's call him Brian with a Y, because why would you marry him after only dating him 6 months? Tiffany with a Y. Why would you marry him after only 6 months, Tiffany? Why? Why would you do that? Take a crazy chance? Here's a crazy chance. Drop a pin. Share your location. Text your mom and dad back. They weren't bad parents. You're just from the Midwest. They were good parents. Sorry they named you Tiffany with a Y. But why is that so bad? People can call you Tiff. People can say, if you listened to me, you might not be dead right now. You might not be dead. He has abs. He has abs. I look like I'm running late for my Dungeons & Dragons evening. I look like I'm stuck in the McDonald's drive-thru. I look like I'm trolling on my phone, harassing girls who have OnlyFans pages, mad because I don't get any pussy. None of those things are true. Well, one of the things is true, but that's because I don't like it. We find ourselves in the City of Angels, which is what she is going to turn into because he murders her. He murders her. I know we're always scared of being murdered by randos and strangers, but honestly, that's not the vibe. You know what I mean? Like, spoiler alert, we always know who it is. Let's say you're visiting an old man, and that old man asks you to get his Coke from up the stairs because he just had knee surgery, and you're like, Coca-Cola or cocaine, which he also has a cane because, like I said, he just had knee surgery. But then you go upstairs and you're like, okay, it's Coca-Cola, but it was in a Yeti, not a Stanley. Brian with a Y was just like one of the guys, except he had dead eyes. He had eyes that were blue, but they weren't like Jake Gyllenhaal blue. They were like, I'm gonna murder you blue. They were like the life has left them blue, like silver, like chrome, like, and I don't think he had eyelids because he always looked like this. This is a really good bedtime story to listen to if you have anxiety or you can't sleep. So Brian, he basically, as long as Tiffany did what he said, he was like chill, like easy breezy, hang loose. And he would call her like babe, which she really liked because nobody has ever done that before. Babe, 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 babe. This is how he would say babe, 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 babe. This is how she would say babe, babe, babe. She sounded like a Canadian frog ribbiting, asking a question. Babe, 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 babe. That's why it's really important to build a relationship specifically on looks and money, because it works out really well. Tiffany was just like one of the girls. She did not dye her hair. I mean, she did, but she dyed it blonde. But it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like blue, it was like blonde. Brian and Tiffany were content creators, and the content that they created is relationship content. They were like really putting up numbers. Within the first couple months of their relationship, they went right online. They were mainly on Instagram and TikTok, and they were trying to get on YouTube, but it was just like not really working for them. So their TikTok had like 100,000 followers within 3 months. Their Instagram was like 50,000 followers, and I'm estimating here, okay? I don't have the data in front of me right now. I have a lot going on. Like 50,000 on Instagram, and then YouTube was like 1,500. So one day, Brian and Tiffany were going over their content, and everything was great as long as Tiffany did what Brian said. And so it was like one of those situations where it's like, you know, if someone's like, oh, let's get burgers tonight, and you're like, yeah, that's good. And they're like, yay. And then you're like, oh, let's go to the beach for a walk. You're like, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. And then if, you know, if they're like, hey, let's go to the store to buy a lamp, and you're like, I'm pretty tired today, and they just turn on you, and they're just like, oh, so you don't love me? Oh, so you don't support me? Oh, no, it's okay, let's just do what you want to do. I don't need a lamp, I'll just be in the dark. You know, they start getting like manipulative like that. But he's 6'7", and his mom and dad give him money every month, and sometimes he's nice to you. Look, we interviewed his friends and family, and they were like, he was the nicest guy. I'm in shock. Then we talked to his neighbors, and they were like, yeah, the cops were called all the time. They fought all the time. They had the perfect marriage, except when the cops were called all the time. I talked to 2 cops today at CVS when I was buying ice cream. I asked them if they knew somebody. They looked at me like I was asking them an absurd question. I just wanted to know if they knew this person. Why is that wrong? Why is that bad? To the 2 police officers listening, I would like to say thank you for your service, and I hope you have a good night. Because I don't want to get in trouble. I know you're thinking, I'm a badass who don't give a fuck. That's true. However, I have my publicist here with me on standby because there's been a whole fiasco of people allegedly dying from adding slices of American cheese to their ramen noodles. So I'm in, like my noodles, hot water. I gotta be careful what's going on. Especially because I'm thinking about running for election soon. And I know you guys are like sick of the politics, so I'll like keep it to a minimum. But if you don't vote for me, I know it's dumb. The aliens just pick our president. So the cops were being called on Tiffany and Brian a lot. Like so much so, the one cop, Dylan, first name, he became bros with Brian. They started going to the gym together. They started making gym content together. They started calling each other brother. Like, it got fast. It was quick. This happened very quickly, and I'm very happy for Dylan, because Dylan, he never had a brother. Too bad it wasn't real, Dylan. It wasn't real. It wasn't love. It wasn't real brotherhood. But here's the thing. There could be a psychological argument. A psychological argument to be made that Brian actually loved Dylan more than he loved Tiffany, because I think Brian respected Dylan. I don't think Brian ever respected Tiffany, because if you respect somebody, usually you don't murder them. Usually. Am I sober right now? Oh, I guess I am. You know when you're hanging out late at night and you're like, oh my goodness, this edible is crazy. And then you're just like, oh yeah, I didn't take it yet. This is just me. This is just all me. This is just how I am. Okay. Yeah, I didn't take it because I wanted to eat something first. So Brian and Dylan were making gym content together, and they were blowing up. Well, Dylan was blowing up buildings with bombs for training purposes. Okay? For training purposes. Dylan is ex-military. We thank you for your service, Dylan. You pay for our freedom of speech, my freedom of speech. I don't take that for granted. Thank you very much. Dylan had a girlfriend named, her name was Monica, but I don't really think that that was her name. You know what I mean? I think that she just watched Friends too much, but she didn't have any friends. She was one of those people who, I don't think that was her real name, and I think that Dylan was her only friend. Look, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but if you're dating somebody who doesn't have any friends, that is a red flag. bag. They need to have friends. You can't be their everything. That's dumb. If I was in a relationship, I'd be like, hey, guess what? I'm going to my friends for a week. Bye. The way, I'm gonna go do that if that's okay with you. One day, Monica and Tiffany went out to lunch, and Monica was like, your makeup looks like really good. Like, how'd you do it? And Tiffany was like, and then she started crying. The reason she started crying is because her makeup looked so good, because actually, something bad happened to her face. It's very serious. This is what happened, though. So I have to tell you. And Monica was like, hold on, let me order a salad first. So then she ordered a salad, but she got it with blue cheese and breaded chicken, which is basically a sandwich in a bowl. This is very emotional for me because I have empathy for other people. Why don't you try it sometime? So Monica was like, the salad's really good. Do you want any? And Tiffany was like, yes. And Tiffany put down her sirloin steak that she was eating with her bare hands because she was hungry, and she started eating some of the salad. And then Monica, as Tiffany was like going over for the salad, Monica like pulled her in by the shoulder, and she did that mom thing where she's like, she started wiping away some of the makeup. I don't understand why this should be like edgy, because like it's about murder, so everything else should be like beneath that. But because of the current climate, which is winter, she removed some of the makeup and she had a black eye. And Monica was like, I thought you had green eyes. And Tiffany was like, I do. The black eye is around my green eyes. And Monica was like, okay, yeah, I get that now. This was all very interesting to Monica because Monica wanted to become a doctor, but she was currently taking a break from medical school to make medical content on TikTok, because she was just thinking it might be more important to be a medical influencer than to be a medical provider. So then Monica was like, Tiffany, how did you get this black eye? And Tiffany was like, I would really love to tell you. And Monica was like, I would really love to hear it. And then Tiffany was like, okay, then I'm gonna tell you about it. Tell you. Okay, then I'm gonna tell you. Okay, then I'm gonna tell you. Okay, then I'm gonna tell you about it. And then Monica was like, thank you for feeling so safe with me. And then Tiffany burped, and it was loud. It was loud. The guy at the other table, like, looked over. That's how loud it was. And it was one of those like acid burps where like stuff came up, so she had to like swallow it. Then her throat was hurting, so she had to drink some water, but there was no water left. So then she had to call the waiter over, and the waiter was not in a good mood because that wasn't his dream. It wasn't his dream to become a waiter. You think the waiter in Los Angeles wants to be a waiter? The truth is, he doesn't want to be a waiter. He actually wants to create waiter content online, and he does, but it's not blowing up right now. He doesn't know why. He doesn't know what's going on. Somebody said, what about broadening your niche and just do restaurant content? Be a restaurant influencer. And he was like, that's not my passion. My passion is waiter content. This waiter has a name, but we don't know it because it's not important. He's not important to the story. So everybody who's here for the waiter content, you're going to be waiting a long time. So then eventually they were able to get the cynical, jaded waiter to bring water. And so Tiffany was able to drink the water and get her nasty burp down. And then Monica was like, I love you. You're like a sister to me. And Tiffany was like, I barely know you. You're coming at me with some toxic love bombing. Feels manipulative. Monica was like, I think Dylan and Brian are evading taxes. And Tiffany was like, she was in shock. So then Monica was like, are you ready to talk about your black eye? And Tiffany was like, yes. And then they talked about it. And that's a private conversation. How dare you? Why are you trying to be so invasive? That's private. What happens between Monica and Tiffany at that lunch table that day is between the two of them and the waiter, because he heard everything. And he ended up making content about it that night, which, fun fact, went viral and got him to where he wanted to go. Which is why you always need to follow your dreams and never give up, because you never know what's around the corner. You don't know. You never know. You don't know. You don't know. That very night, Tiffany comes back to the apartment, and Brian is not wearing a shirt. We don't know if he owns one or not. He works hard. He works hard for those abs. Wait, he's not supposed to show them off? That's how he makes his money. Stop judging him. And he was like, babe, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo. Do you think it's good for the brand or bad for the brand? And Tiffany snaps. Now the camera zooms out of the apartment, through the window. We're now outside of the apartment. Blinds shut. We go over to the neighbor. The neighbor is named Stephanie. Stephanie is a 47-year-old librarian who has 7 cats. None of them are dead. They're all alive. Stephanie is reading Twilight, the book. It's one of her go-tos. And yes, she got it from the library that she works at. Here is where things get a little naughty. She didn't check the book out. She just took it. She has a library card, but she didn't use it. She just took the book. She just took it. Kind of like she's taking your attention right now. I would argue that Stephanie is the most captivating character of this episode. Stephanie starts hearing shouts, arguments. Now, living next to an LA influencer, Gen Z millennial couple, this Gen X has heard it all. Fights about protein powder, fights about yoga mats, the crashing of ring lights, the smashing of iPhones. Stephanie has an Android. It's the one thing I don't like about her. I appreciate that she has free will. That doesn't mean that I like it. That doesn't mean I agree with it. Doesn't mean it's okay. Stephanie has called the cops on Brian and Tiffany a lot. In fact, she just called them a couple days ago. So she's like, I don't know if I should really call them. You know, it's like the boy who cried wolf. Like, are they even going to come over? Maybe I should save it for like a real serious situation. This is difficult. This is difficult to know. You know, you can't just keep ringing that bell. You should only ring it when you need it. The thing is, you always need it. Every negative situation, you should call the police. Constantly. If I called them, I'd say, hey, do you know this guy? I want to thank him for saving me. Then they would probably look at me like I was crazy. I don't know how they would look at me on the phone. Maybe because it was FaceTime. Have you ever tried to FaceTime 911? I don't know. So Stephanie's like, I just called them a couple days ago. And she's scared of Brian because like Brian knows that she does this. And so like every time they pass each other on the balcony, because their like apartment goes to the outside because it's California. So like the hallway is just like the balcony. And they like share a laundry room. Every time they're in the laundry room, he gives her like a dirty look. And every time they're at the vending machine, he never buys her a snack. So things are tense. Also, Stephanie has a crush on Brian. I don't want to reveal her secrets. You know, I don't want to... This isn't a Stephanie expose. I don't want to abuse her trust because she told me this in confidence, but, you know, this is my job, so I'm gonna tell you. Stephanie likes Brian in a way that's physical. It's not emotional. It's not romantic. It is just physical. Stephanie's an adult. She can do what she wants. So this night is where Stephanie makes a mistake. She doesn't call the police. She doesn't do it. She hears screams. She hears crashes. She hears more screams. Then she hears a really loud scream, followed by a muffled noise. It was a muffled scream, in case you were wondering. That's weird because usually after all the screaming and the banging, she hears crying, and then she hears makeup sex. And then she hears them get out the ring light, and they make a vlog post about, you know, they had a fight, but they made up, and it's made them stronger. You know, please like this video for part 2 kind of vibes. And so she doesn't hear that. That's weird. That's weird. This is a moment of silence for Tiffany. The next day, Stephanie is taking her trash to the dumpster. She notices... I'm sorry, I'm getting chills. This is so... She notices Brian looking out of the apartment, like, checking to see if the coast is clear. She decides to hide. She hides behind the dumpster, which was not good for her self-esteem, but she did it. She hears a dragging sound. She doesn't want to reveal herself, but she hears Brian panting. He's in good shape, so like him carrying trash shouldn't make him pant like that, but he's panting. She hears him like right by the dumpster. She's fighting the urge to say hi. They've never actually spoken to each other before, but she just hears him struggling to throw the trash out. It must be really heavy. He's not throwing away his weights because he doesn't have any weights, because he goes to the gym. Why would he have weights at home? He goes to the gym, aka his filming set. Finally, he gets the trash into the dumpster, and it's loud when it finally falls in, but it's like a very heavy loud. It's not like a clang, it's more like a thud. And he's not leaving. He's just standing there, what she assumes is like looking at the dumpster, and she's like, oh my god, what if he notices me? Because like now she feels suspicious, even though he's being suspicious. There's no way for her to not be suspicious too, because of what she's doing. She hears him rummaging around in the trash, like moving bags around and stuff. Then finally he leaves, and she waits like 5 to 10 minutes just sitting there because she's scared now. What was he doing? What was he doing? You know what you're thinking, this shit's getting real, and I'm really scared. She gets out from under the dumpster. She looks at his apartment. The door's shut. He's gone. She looks in the trash can, and it's her trash bags on top of his. She knows because she gets the trash bags with the colorful ties, and he gets like the big black ones. And she's just like, well, she was reading Twilight last night, so Stephanie knows. She knows a killer when she sees one. So Stephanie pokes her finger into the trash bag, pulls her finger out, and like an Edward cake pop, it's red. She herself, Stephanie, is not a vampire, but she is a person. So she doesn't eat it to see if it's blood because she's not a vampire. She smells it. What do you think it is? It's not ketchup. There's no chicken nuggets. Cut to Stephanie hyperventilating in her car in the garage. She's not going back up to her apartment. Next door to that, calling 911. 911, what's your emergency? I'd like to report a murder. What's your location? She gives them the location. I can't give you the location because let's respect their privacy. Stephanie didn't do anything wrong. And they're like, ma'am, is this really necessary? This is the second call for this address this week. Is this just a domestic? And she's like, there's been a murder. And then the 911 operator was like, for real? And Stephanie was like, for real. And the 911 operator was like, on God? And then Stephanie was like, on God. And then 911 was like, all right, we'll come through. And then Stephanie was like, bet. And then, yeah, Brian murdered his wife, Tiffany. Surprise. He murdered her because she didn't think he should get a tattoo, and he wanted to get a tattoo, so he killed her. He killed her. And then Dylan killed Monica. And then Stephanie killed both Brian and Dylan because she's a real one. She's a vigilante. Then after that, Stephanie went on to write the Twilight books because she's actually Stephanie Meyers, the author of the Twilight series. So the moral of the story is don't be 6'7" tall. If your name's Stephanie, maybe write a New York Times bestseller. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You have free will. You're a consenting adult, but just an idea. Maybe don't marry someone that you just met 6 months ago on a dating app. I know you spent 3 months creating content together. I know he has abs, but 2-3 years of solid dating before getting married. I mean, I don't know. I'm not married, but I've also never been murdered.